Boom, just like that, gentlemen, we're going. Dudes, Jeff, in the studio once again with the news, trying to keep high spirits.
90 days to flatten the curve. What are we, 2 years now? Something like that? How long are we into this, Jeff?
Yeah, 2 years.
2 years.
Coming up on 2 years.
Remember what you were saying earlier, too, about your buddy that you asked and how long he thought it was going to last. And a year seemed like such a crazy thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to talk about anything else.
Well, it's hard to talk about anything else when your mind is so far down the road of plans, and then just you can't even do tomorrow. Like today's schedule is different because of yesterday's news. You know, the Barons game that me and are you good, Jeff?
Yeah.
The game that we were what?
The levels are just looking a little low, but
The levels are low.
I think we'll be all right.
It should be good.
Yeah.
The games we were supposed to do today with the Barons, you know, it's canceled. Like that was the game that we were gonna go to and do the Ice Jam setup. Like we were gonna go bring the router into the middle, get the duct tape, get the long router, and just set it up. And it's like now we can't even do that. So let's say Ice Jam's back. When's that date? January
12th?
January 12th.
16th. Yeah.
So now we can't do that setup until, you know, probably the day of or the week of. It's just like there's little things where, you know, if things happen, it's going to be pressed for time.
Yeah.
You know, you have to deliver under pressure, but at the same time, we've been doing this for 2 years. You know, it's
obviously nice to have, you know, the maximum amount of time to set up. Like, that's the biggest thing. But the thing is for us, like, this is nothing new. Like, having to go day by day is kind of how we started this thing, and we got used to that. It's nice to be able to plan, and obviously we're super pumped to have things in place for the future because this is kind of where we want it to go. But this is nothing new for us. Like now we just back to the kind of the drawing board type thing. Like, what did we do the first time it hit? We figured out a different avenue to succeed, you know what I mean? Like, instead of letting the business fold, we found a way.
Yeah, well, it's nothing new, which is true, but at the same time, you don't want to get comfortable to the situation that we're in. It's like, you know, yeah, great, we're living in COVID, there's a pandemic right now, but that's not a world you want to get comfortable in. You want to get comfortable in the world where, okay, look, we got a trip booked to Toronto next week because we can go.
Yeah.
Because we don't have to worry about being vaccinated. Well, we are vaccinated, but you know what I mean? We don't have to worry about being tested. It's almost like we're so comfortable in the world we live in, and it might never change. We could be in this world for the rest of our lives. I don't know, Jeff. But it's just not a world that you want to get comfortable in. And when this happens, you know the mentality around here. It's, you know, shut it down. Stay inside. All right, turn Netflix on. When's the curb coming back? Get
Wash
your
hands.
popcorn, get your chips, get the toilet paper.
Now you're getting into Frankie.
It's, you know, yeah, but it's just it's true. That's the mindset here. It's all right. It's bunker down. We're good to go.
That's it is
mindset
of the higher ups for sure. But I do a lot of internet surfing just for the comments, man, and I'd say it's pretty mixed for what people like believe in and what they think is going to happen or what should happen. You know, it's insane to watch, and it's honestly just daily entertainment for me. But you're right, though. I guess a lot of people probably have kind of got comfortable with, like, people are comfortable with wearing a mask. Like, you don't really hear a whole lot about the masks anymore. Like, there's no real up in arms. There might be the odd like protest or something like that, but I mean, people are kind of comfortable with that. Like, everyone. That's the thing about the shutdowns is everyone's so riled about it because we've gotten comfortable with just letting it take its course and living with COVID, you know?
That's the thing. Back to the mask. I don't even care about the masks either. That's the least of my worries.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just being able to live a life where we're free and we can actually do what we want and get ahead in business.
I can go to Toronto, I got to wear a mask. Cool.
Yeah, it's just being able. It's just getting out of the state that we're in and not being used to it. And I'll be guilty at times for sure. Like, all right, I can't do anything today. I'm staying home. I'm not doing anything. And it's just not a routine you want to get comfortable with. And I know these shutdowns aren't even that bad. Like, there's still practice, isn't there? So we can still go do mic'd up, but it's just the live streaming aspect where you want to grow the business there, and you can't. And there could be people listening right now going, Audrey, you guys are just complaining and be thankful you have jobs. And it's like, and I get that. But if you're not in this studio every day, waking up, grinding, trying to build something special,
do something else.
It's how do I explain it? If you work a job and someone is like giving you money, you'd have to be there. Where do you think that money comes from? There's someone behind that making sure the money is coming in to pay you. And
true.
that's kind of like where my stress is. I have to make sure there's money coming in, so money's going to you guys. I need to, like, the business doesn't go unless you guys are getting paid. So it's just like that's always my stress level is, okay, where's the next check coming from? And that's never a problem with a normal world. Like the past 3 months, 4 months, it's been great. Money's been flowing in. No problems.
Lots
We're good.
to do.
Lots to do.
Yeah.
But then this business, this entrepreneurship game is just like hockey when it comes to momentum. If you're rolling, you're rolling.
Yeah, but you
But
still have to continue to find ways to stay rolling, right?
But if your coach, which is the government, puts you on the fourth line and you're sitting for a bit, it's tough to say, okay, yeah, you're good to go, boys. Let's go. You're going back out on the shift. And then you go back out and your legs are weak. Your hands aren't there. Your head's not in the game. But that's where I think that's where you separate the boys from the men. The men that can go back up when the government says, okay, look, you're good to go, back at it. It's the people that just get up and go, okay, great. They're right back to where they were. And I've struggled with that for sure in the past. Like, it's tough to just get back up and, okay, the Google Calendar's dead today, but tomorrow we got 8 things.
Yeah.
Tuesday you got 5 things. Wednesday
Kind of
4.
evens itself out, right?
Exactly, but it's just the stop and go game. The mentality is just that's the worst. I've talked to buddies around here who you know as well, who are business owners, and they're in the fitness industry, and they have clientele coming in, and that clientele just got cut in half, and now they have to be 2 meters apart, and this is time wasted where they can't be making money. They have to train again. They already train their staff to do
all
things
the
that
protocols.
Exactly. But now it's like, okay, now we can't train you to have 200 people in the studio. Now we have to train you again just to have 20 people in the studio. And now we got to make sure they're 2 distance apart. It's the momentum game. And that's all I know. It's all you know. I don't know about Jeff, sure, but sports is momentum. Sports is work. Sports is concentration, effort, and it's the same thing in the business game. But when you have that concentration, the effort, everything come to a halt because of higher sources, that's the most frustrating thing for me.
I agree with the sense of the hockey, or even just a sport in general for business, right? But there's a couple different angles, and I listen, I get what you're saying, and so does Jeff. Like, it sucks, right? Like, especially when you legitimately enjoy doing it too. That's the other thing that really kind of hits you hard too. It's not like, you'd have jobs, like, I won't lie, I've had jobs earlier in the pandemic where as soon as they were talking about shutting it down, I'm thinking of ways to stop working because it sucks. But for like stuff like this that we actually enjoy, and you actually like, each one of your days is legitimate pride. It's not this fake, I'm doing this, to better myself or whatever, right? Like we take pride in this. It's fun. We like going to the rink, right? We're sports fans. We're big fans of what's, we've always talked about how good the quality is in the Maritimes and Halifax in general. And now we're able to showcase that to people to prove it. So you actually enjoy what you're doing. So that hurts even more, right? And, you throw in getting paid to do what you love. And it's that stupid cliche, like, what is it? You do what you enjoy and you never work a day in your life or something like that. Obviously, I've never been anywhere near that, so I wouldn't know it. But it's like that's what this kind of feels like, like it's pretty chill. It's pretty laid back. It's low key, Yeah, sometimes are amped up, but, that's the nature of the beast. But it's not. You're not going to just keep pushing and worry about it if you didn't like it.
And one thing I was figuring out the other day was the growth of the business, the more educated I become within the business. So, for example, we got Ice Jam, we got a couple other tournaments, and some of these games are 50 games, 27 games, a lot of games, and we've never done anything like that. So what's that? That's a lesson learned. I was saying to Jeff the other day, okay, we're great. We're going to do the Ice Jam. It's 27 games, a little bunch of games. They're not going to say there's going to be hiccups, but we're going to learn a thing or two about the scheduling. We're going to learn a thing or two about maybe how we could improve the next time.
Well,
so it's like, I'm not saying Ice Jam's not, like, I'm not saying that at all. Ice Jam could happen. We look forward to it. If it January 12th. Yeah. So we're hoping, we're praying that happens. But if it doesn't, it's just like there's tons of lessons lost. And you say you fail your way to success. And I 100% agree with that, because there's going to be failures along the way. And this company is built off failures, as much as twisted as that sounds. But it's built off fail, learn, and then, okay, redo it, but do it the right way. And I know that Ice Jam, that hopefully this happens. I'm not saying it won't. But there's just going to be lessons lost if we don't do these tournaments and do things that we have planned already. Because that's knowledge. That's knowledge.
What's the fun of it if it's just going to be easy and done? You're going to perfect it right away. You're obviously going to learn things. Think about just on one simple aspect of it, technology. As the years go by, technology is just going to get better. There's going to be faster ways. There's going to be more complex ways to make things happen. So you still have to adjust within like that. Not let alone all the things that you're learning about the actual business side of it and the media side of it. Like that's just like a sub part of the business side. It's like if you're not learning and it's, like think of it like Sid. And we say business is like hockey or like a sport, like he got really good at it, but he kept finding ways to get better and learn more things, whether it was learning how to teach the younger guys or whatever the case may be. You can still see the pride and how much he enjoys it. Obviously it's the NHL, it's the dream job, but I'm just saying in a business aspect, that's kind of how it should be,
And one thing you were saying before the podcast starts is the camaraderie we have within the business. Like Jeff's sitting there right now, like he's not getting paid right now. He knows that. There's no live streams coming in. He's sitting there just for the sake of the company. The camaraderie of the company I'm very proud of. Mark, you message him even though he doesn't reply till 2 a.m. You message him in the morning, like he's still like on board. He's still okay, well what's next? What are we doing? You coming in here all the way from East Hands just to get a piece of content out, get the podcast out. And I think that's very rare within maybe not. I don't know. I don't really know any other startup companies. Maybe it's not a rare thing, but to have a group of people come together to stick together for this long of a time to build something, especially in the middle of a pandemic, I don't know. I think it's a really cool thing, and I think loyalty is one of the most rare things in today's society. I'd rather have loyalty over a hard worker. I'd rather have loyalty over anything.
100%.
And the people that have worked here in the past and no longer are here, it's you can't fault them. I get it. You got other aspects and other things to do, but loyalty is a big thing that I look for, and keeping a close circle. And that's definitely one thing I'm proud of with this group. It's a close circle. It's a close knit circle, and I'm excited to get through this thing and see where things go. And especially with the new hires, like I know Jeff's been talking to some of those young guys who are you all right?
Dog.
Yeah.
You're zoned out. What time did you go to bed last night?
No, I'm not zoned out. I'm thinking about what you're saying.
That's the idea.
You better calm
I just-
down over
I
there.
just
You're
had
saying
my-
too much.
I just had my games canceled, so I'm still.
And then
back
you
on
brought it
that,
up
man.
too. Like,
Sorry, my bad. I didn't mean
It's
to bring
ea-
it up.
No, it's. I'm just saying it's easy to talk about all this stuff, but
yeah.
you're gonna still have the business at the end of the day and
Well,
all this stuff.
Well,
I'm not
yeah.
right now. My whole thing just got canceled, so.
Yeah.
Dude, we're gonna get like
Yeah.
that's the real world. Unfortunately, that's
Well, it wasn't the real world until 2 years ago.
yeah, but
You
like
know what
the,
I mean?
the world
That's what I-
changes every
That's what I
day.
always say. I got too comfortable. You can never plan anything in today's day and age anymore.
Well, I agree with that actually. You
Like
can-
I used to when I
short term.
back before I used to be like, if something cool get planned, I'd be like, I told this to you yesterday. I'd say there's no way this is gonna get canceled unless something totally crazy happens. So
Boom.
let yourself look forward to it, and it would always work because nothing crazy would happen. And then
Someone ate
now-
that
now it's like, now you can't even. I find it hard to get even excited for things because it's just like how. I don't know if it's gonna happen or not. Like this brought me back down to earth. I think
Yeah.
a bit.
But I think that's a
I'm
good
just-
thing,
I
knowing
was
that
gonna say that.
you weren't like. I think about it. As of yesterday, you were on a high. Maybe
Mhm.
not yesterday because we knew we had a couple streams canceled. But streams
Yeah,
shouldn't be
before last weekend.
the streams aren't the end all be all for this company. The streams are just the end to making money for you. That's like that. That's why it's frustrating for you, and I get that. That
yeah,
sucks.
like that's like 90% of my job. Here,
Yeah.
like, here so far at least.
Mm-hmm.
So
But you have to
Yeah.
you have to appreciate. Well, you just have to appreciate the fact that as of 2 days ago, you weren't living on Earth technically. You're high. You're on a high.
Mhm.
You're like, wow, this company's
Yeah.
flourishing. We're going like this.
yeah,
And one thing since 2 years ago, since we started the live streams, talk about an adjustment of making a pivot
Yeah.
and keeping a company running. Because all we did was
Podcast.
podcast, street interviews. I don't even think we did. Yeah, maybe we did Mike Dub.
Yeah, we just
But you know
bought
what I mean.
one
We
on a
just,
whim
You know
kinda
what I
thing.
mean. We
Yeah.
didn't do clothing. We might have had those hoodies back then. But the talk about an adjustment made mid-game. We talk about sports.
That was
you know,
definitely one
they
of your
talk,
better
talk,
moves.
talk about
Yeah.
a
That was one of your-
mid-game adjustment.
yeah.
Now, let's say COVID gets worse. There, the Coleman was saying yesterday there was a guy on Twitter who's really smart, and he said, there's approximately 10,000 people they're going to be getting diagnosed with COVID a day
In
starting
Ontario,
in Ontario,
yeah.
like next month. Is that
Yeah.
true? Dudes, I don't know. Jeff, I don't know. But let's say COVID does get worse. There's no doubt. There's not a bone in my body that doesn't think that this company will somehow make an adjustment to somehow find money and stay afloat. When our brains come together and we pick up whatever one of us lacks, we're able to find out a solution on how to keep the company going. Live stream just happened to be one of those things back in the day when we had nothing to do. We saw a demand and then we filled it. And it just doesn't. there's no part of my body that doesn't think we won't find a demand and fill the next demand. I'm not saying live streaming's going. Live streaming's here to stay,
Oh my God,
but there
yes.
will be a demand always in life. That's what great business people do. They find demands and they fill the void. McDonald's, terrible cheeseburgers back in the 60s. They filled it.
Tasty.
You know, it's just you find voids, you find where there's a demand, and you go from there.
I'm going to jump on the live streaming thing. I think if COVID hits again, that's like the biggest thing. The biggest thing for live streaming is giving people the opportunity to see it that either A, can't go, B, can't be there. And what are the two biggest things in COVID right now? Those two things. Can't go, can't be there.
No, I
so
agree.
that's a
I agree
thing
with
that's
you,
never
but
going to go.
we're just not at that point yet for at least this COVID cycle.
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now, it's just games being canceled without much thought, or without well, there is much thought, but there's people just are being cautious and stuff.
Jeff, can you give
So-
dudes the rundown of the meeting? What happened yesterday, mid-meeting?
Yeah, we were we were trying to lock in. Or we were here trying to figure out some tournaments coming up.
Mm-hmm.
First one being December 28th to 30th. So within the range of this first they say they say till the end of January,
weeks
and then
from
they're
now,
going to reassess. Okay, so it was in this first 2 weeks. So that one instantly got canceled
Yeah, like as he was here.
as he was here. So we were sitting down and things were going good. He literally just gotten off the phone with the
President
one
of the
one of
tournament.
the guys.
Yeah.
And we were kind of working out the other ones. There was one we really wanted to do down the line, and then there's another one. And basically, we're sitting here chatting. Everything was good, and then he just looks at his phone. This was as it was happening, and it just said, like, tournaments canceled. Like, he showed me the text, and it was just like, oh.
That's
the
a tough
whole
one.
mood just changed.
Oh, yeah.
and
Oh, my God,
Smiles
just-
were gone.
Smiles are gone.
Plummet.
But like I was saying, like to your point, like I see what you mean. Like in the end, the whole reason this live streaming kind of did pick up was because of the
that.
first initial COVID, and Justin made probably your best business decision to date to pivot towards that and like hone in and make it a thing.
Yep.
And now we kind of grew it into something where it's like a thing without COVID, which is great. But that like right now, like I said, they're just kind of at the point where it's like everything's getting canceled, and we'll kind of figure it out in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
So it's hard, just
I don't
today
believe
in particular and yesterday in particular, and maybe this past weekend a bit to like see that. But I mean, you're right. It could.
It's also
I mean,
Christmas
if they
time,
do
man.
figure it out and complete and like parents can't go, but players can go, then we'll be allowed in. But it's just like that's not like what they're worried about right now. So it's hard for like at least it's hard for me to see like think forward to that right now.
The good news is too is these teams and these organizations and these management positions they've gone through this.
Yeah.
Right, like it's okay. It's the what do they call it? The Omarion is what I've been calling it. The variant, the old rapper,
Omicron, isn't it?
Omicron. But it's okay. It's a different strain. It's a variant, is if you want to use buzzwords. But they've had to adjust just like we have. Like they've got the training in place now. Like it doesn't per strain doesn't change your training. You know what I mean? There's still things in place. So I think the one thing is they shut it all down. They look at everything. What's the big picture here? How many games do we have left? Who are the teams? Where are they from? You know, with the whole Andy Ganesh thing and how Santa Fe stole Christmas, that thing that's popping around now, the Dr. Seuss book. Which I'm not saying that was what caused it, but my point was that, you know, everyone's gone through this so far, so maybe what they're doing is my mindset is they're just getting their ducks in a row. They're trying to figure out what's going to go and what isn't, who they can have in, probably take a look at their numbers. Okay, we want our games streamed. And like you said, they're probably not thinking of that right now, which is absolutely fair, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not expecting them to go, oh, well, what are we going to do with High Button Sports right away, right? Because at the end of the day, these teams are businesses, right? They're trying to generate revenue as well. But I think my main point being is we may let go in the sense that people are kind of prepared and they kind of know what's going on right now. So
yeah, and I mean, it is like everyone that we've seen so far is saying rescheduled. Like this game will be played in the early new year. Like it's not like they're just like throwing it away. Like, oh man, like they're halfway into a season here. They've gotten like hundreds of parents into games so far, so they'll definitely try to figure it out for the new year. It's just the timing was really bad.
And like I said, it's
Right
Christmas
before
time, man.
Christmas.
It's stressful.
Like,
If you even throw the terms, you know, like not getting paid or no money and Christmas, like that
right,
that
exactly.
combination there equals nothing
If this
good.
would have happened in
right?
the middle of like November, or maybe like a month later, like February, it would have been like, okay, this sucks, but like it's not the middle of Christmas. Like it was just very bad timing. And I do
Absolutely.
have faith the games will get played and we'll be there and we'll stream them. And I
Just
mean,
gotta
I look
faith.
forward to that. It's just, it's just right now. This is extreme. Like this, I just sent you that text a few minutes ago. Like, we went in today. I woke up this morning thinking we were streaming tonight. So, yeah,
Yeah, I understand.
that's why I'm somber.
I would have been
Wondering.
I would have been
Yeah.
cranky too, probably, but
Yeah.
there's ways to fix that stuff.
Yeah.
What
I
do you
guess
think?
I just, I got nothing. Like, I'm out of thought. Like I'm exhausted from
Yeah.
thinking of different scenarios of where to go from here. Like I really have no answer.
Did you get a good sleep last night?
I actually did. I actually did get a good night's sleep, thinking that regular season games would still continue.
Yes. Okay.
But
Yeah.
now that I know that's a slowly fading
Right.
reality,
Mm.
tonight might be a little bit tougher.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I'm really trying hard lately to focus, I guess, my thought process on positive things. Like I was reading a lot again. Didn't read. I was listening to
Was being read too.
Yeah, I was being read too. I was listening to a podcast, and this guy was just talking about like you have to be in control of your mindset and try not to think negative. If you think negatively, negative things will come to you. If you think positively, positive things will come to you. So I'm really trying hard. Like there'll be times where like I'm making dinner upstairs and I'll be thinking in my head, "Fuck, this isn't happening. This isn't happening," and I'll just try to stop myself and go, "Okay, but." This is happening. Oh, now, but this is happening. So I'm really trying hard to do that.
You do have to train
Dude,
your
I'm
brain.
always doing that with you, Justin. I'm always like, I
Okay, you're not
swear.
taking credit. You didn't read that thing to me.
I gotta say a lot. Of, there's some times where you'll get upset and I'll be like, bro, but think about it. At this time last year we
So
didn't
you
have
got 'em
this.
good
and
right
you'll
now.
Always, I'm always trying to. I get it. Yeah, I guess I'm just feel like I'm on the other side today. Just
Yeah.
Yeah,
pissed off.
That's
about
fine. You're allowed to
You
be on the
know,
other
I'm
side,
at the-
man.
I agree with the positivity thing though. I read something like last year. It said like if you keep like try to keep 2/3 of your thoughts positive at all times, eventually like that'll just morph into like all the time you're thinking positively.
That's good
So I
for
always
people
try
that
to
can do
think
math.
2/3 of my thoughts got to be positive at least.
How you doing fractions and thinking positively in your head? You're crazy. It's okay to be on the other side, man. Like
Yeah.
you think this happens now, man. Like year one of this,
no phone.
buddy. I'd be pulling him off the bridge, like just for the smallest things. And it's just like, but you're right. Like, and I'm not taking the credit, that's
Yeah.
why it's good to have a good team because, like I said, you're allowed to be on the other side, and that's when we have to come into play and be like, listen, man. Like, here's how it goes, right? Vent all you want to me. I'm here for that. I don't care. I probably won't hear half it anyways, But that's kind of what you're looking for when you're
Yeah.
down on that side. I've been on that side a trillion times, man. Probably like up until 5 years ago, honestly. I'm not trying to get dark on you guys or anything like that, but you got to have your support crew, man. You got to have your teammates. And when it's our turn to be on the other shitty side of this, you guys can beep that out. Then you got to be the guy in our position right now. You know what I mean? Like but that's what we were talking about with the team thing and how it kind of relates to sports. And that's kind of how I don't have a business mind whatsoever, but I'm able to adjust on the fly. I'm, to adapt. And I just think of it as a team, man. Like everything is, you said momentum earlier. Like, yeah, momentum is great, but you got to work to earn your momentum, man. Like you can't just step on the ice and get momentum by stepping on the ice. You got to do things correctly. You got to do things the right way, positively. Negative energy is way more contagious. Like we're saying these things, but that's the biggest point for me is having your team, right? Like, and that's why you got to do things like this. Just sit here and vent.
I know. I will give you credit, Justin, because there's definitely times where I'll get like, even like you probably don't even know, but like I'll get worked up about something that like didn't happen for us, or like I'll be like, oh my god, we've gone 3 days without setting up a meeting. Like I'll be like so fired up like in my head about it, and then I'll come to work, and then you'll just be like, yeah, man, it sucks, but like it'll be all right. Like,
hey, man,
you've experienced like the ups and downs that I haven't, so like that experience definitely, to your point of being like a team where you give and take.
You do it to
But that-
trust.
but that
You have
just
to
goes-
trust.
Definitely. I always tell my girlfriend that you're very good at that.
But that goes
Like,
back to
you'll-
the up and downs of like what Doud just said at the very beginning. So like I was just talking about the tournaments, how like I really want to experience that because I know there's going to be challenges there. So like when I'm at those tournaments and I know that we're on game 26 of 27, in my head, yeah, I might be a little frustrated because we didn't do something properly, but it's only because I didn't go through that experience. So everything you're experiencing right now, I experienced the first
Yeah.
year.
Bumps and bruises, baby.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm really
First 2, 3, man.
Yeah,
you've been through this.
It's
a
just
couple
I've been
times.
through all those frustrations,
Yeah.
and now I'm going through new frustrations. But at the end of the day, you're happy because you're going through them. Because like, oh, I'm never gonna make that mistake again. But not mistakes, just experiences. You want to go through experiences that are tough, not easy. That are it's just like going to the gym and lifting weights. Like you're building calluses on your hands, but the more you do it, the calluses go away. It's just like that. So the more you do it, the more repetition you do, the easier it becomes. I hope one day I'm going to be able to sit at a boardroom meeting and I'm having to decide, whether or not we're going to take this $1 million deal or $2 million deal. And that, talk about pressure, talk about stress, talk about anxiety.
Let's build for that.
But that's all this is. Like, when people go into business opportunities and they go, oh, why am I not successful within the first 7 months, first 8 months? And you look at them, you're just like, are you nuts? What are you talking about?
7
8 months. You're not going to learn anything then. So that's, every time, I wish you would have seen, like back in the day, whenever I had to go into a meeting at Starbucks to meet with one thing I've learned over these couple years is when you're talking to people about money, talk to the boss. You don't talk to the, you know how many times I've gone to Starbucks to meet Joe Blow's secretary who,
Yeah,
I know a guy who knows a guy who
yeah.
might be able to do this for you if you do this for me. And you're just sitting there and you're like, oh, this could happen. So I might be able to somehow weasel this through. This could be great. And then nothing happens. Like that was a big lesson I learned year 1, 2, 3. It was just learning to, okay, who are you the money guy or are you the guy who talks to the money guy?
How much did that happen?
Oh my
We had like
God.
something like in the works, and we were like getting fired up about it and starting to go through the snares in our head and planning it, and then just like,
No.
but then we learned
Exactly. You learn.
to just let it happen. You talk about these things, you have the meetings, you could feel as good as you've ever felt after a meeting with somebody, and it could never happen. That's just the way it goes, like the way she goes. So like that happened so much to us, man. We were like, oh man, we got this, and we were talking to this guy about this guy, and then it was just like, oh shit.
Nothing happened.
Did we ever hear from that guy? I was like, no. So like, okay, cool. So now we just got to go. Okay, when they call, like that tournament in PEI,
Yeah. It's
we
like,
just wait it, and then
the first
boom.
thing you say is, okay, who am I talking to right now? Like, who am I speaking to right now? Like there'd be so many times or so many hours wasted where you're excited for a meeting. You go into a meeting and you're sitting there in the meeting and you leave and you go, okay, great. And then you just don't get a call, don't get a text, or you get, okay, I'm going to talk to my boss, and then you just realize that was just the biggest waste of time. But that's just another lesson learned, and I can't wait to learn. There's so many lessons I haven't learned yet that I'm excited to learn to go into these meetings and be able to talk to people and to be able to grow the company. One thing, I've learned about the past year was like learning to hire, learning to schedule, like learning to manage rather than learning to like
do things.
like one thing I always stress, one thing I always love to say is I'll never tell someone to do something that I haven't done before, meaning the live streaming, meaning the mic'd up, meaning I've done everything in this company. And one thing I love this past couple of years with Jeff, which was a great hire, don't let that get to your head, you muff.
Because we can still fire you.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah.
Jeff,
See.
you almost made me mad right there.
Yeah.
But Jeff, you were a great hire, and I love being able to manage you and you manage the other guys. So that, that was a really big step for this company. And I'm happy with the growth of the company since you've been on. But think about the next 5 years.
It's nice for you to go through things. Like, how much did you used to hate your hockey coach when he'd be telling you to do stuff? And you're like, I know damn well you can't do it.
Yeah.
And he's harping you and harping you. It's not that you harp, but what I'm saying is when you have somebody that does everything, like has done everything, at least then when you're taking the advice or you're taking criticism or whatever the case may be, or even just info, then you're like, okay, at least there's a little bit of credibility behind this, right? And I think that's what I think with a lot of people's work is like, when I was delivering furniture, that I'd have this old lady in the office trying to tell me how to do it, and I'm like, well, because you watched a video from 1997 on VHS on lifting safety, you know how to get these
That's the word.
sure.
So, and that's where you kind of get aggravated, right? But when you have someone who goes through everything too, and I'm the same as you, I'm not going to like harp on somebody if I know I can't even probably do it. Like, what are you doing? Why do you do it like that? And then they're like, well, show me how to do it. And you're like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. That's the most embarrassing
And then you're
thing.
just an idiot, right?
Yeah.
Like,
You want to be able to be the guy who can lead in a way, but show by example. That's the only way I really know how to lead is by
do
example.
as I do, not as I say.
Yeah.
Or is it the opposite?
You got to be a visual learner in this company. I'm not going to tell you a million times how to do it. Just come with me, watch
Great
how I
pun.
do it.
Visual, live streaming,
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah.
That's
I'm a
good
visual,
stuff.
visual
That's good
learner.
stuff.
Yeah, no. Coming from the other side, you're definitely I've been pretty like, because you are like the other guy who's like in all the time and working, but you guys are homies. Like, I didn't know you before this.
Yeah, like we were buddies
Justin.
before the business.
Yeah, right. Like, I didn't know you, so I've only known you in a business capacity. But you've that's definitely nice, and like I knew I would like it the first night I was here, and we were trying to set up the live stream, and we were trying to put the Ethernet cord in
Oh, for the talk show.
for like one of the talk shows or something we were gonna do, and like it wasn't working, and you were just like you weren't getting like mad. Like every time I'd ever worked in production,
Oh,
through
panic.
school, through my other internships I did in high school, anytime it was either panic or like, why do you not know how to do this? Like, oh shit. But like you didn't give that off at all. You were just like, you're like, oh, like these are the solutions I know. They didn't work. Like I'm not gonna make a big
Let's
deal
try
about it.
something else.
We'll try it. Like we'll try it in a couple days. Like maybe like what's going on here. And I was like, oh, like this is
Yeah.
nice. Like this is much more like of a good work setting. Like this is what someone needs when they're first out of school. And since then, like it's always been like that. We've run into some problems, man. And you're so much better than me at that. Like,
think you might
but
just
you'll-
be.
experience,
you want to
like-
know why at that exact moment I wasn't stressing out? Because I've had to go through that exact scenario at BMO with 100 parents outside in their parking lot waiting to watch a stream as they're calling me saying,
Yeah.
"Where the is my kid? Why
What's
isn't
the
this
link?
Wait, what's the stream?" So when I'm here with my buddies trying to get an Ethernet cord going, I'm laughing. It's not working. Yeah,
I'm just
no,
gonna go upstairs.
So that's what that's
Night's over. Gotta go.
yeah, all right, going to bed. See you guys.
See you tomorrow.
So that's what I mean about like
Yeah.
you have to be able to put yourself in the scenarios that are so stressful that you're about to crack because the other stuff is you're laughing, you're easy. Doesn't work. No,
That's
we'll come back
definitely
tomorrow.
the moments you're the most proud of me for sure. Is when like I'll call you in the middle of the stream. Remember when this thing got ripped out of the side of the wall?
Yeah, exactly.
Like there's a bit. Trust me, there's been plenty of little moments since these streams started where I've had to call Justin and I'm just like, dude, like. My computer, like it's all red. The box is red, in the corner.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
what's going on? He's like, okay, we'll just like try this, and then like I try a couple like things that are just like start back up, like little things.
Basics.
But majority of the time, like, or every time pretty much, I don't think we've ever had to call one. We'll figure out a solution, and then I'll be like, oh, okay. But like, there's so many times where I'll call him and he'll just be like, oh, okay. Like it's
Panicky.
it does make a big difference.
It does.
'cause-
And that's
For
what I was
sure.
going to say right on that is that, you got a girlfriend. We all do. When was the last time tensions got high and either one of you is panicked and it didn't rub off on the other person? You know what I mean? When tensions get high, you're looking. If you're panicking and you look over and the dummy beside you is just chilling, you're going to go, okay, like, I'll do it. That's going to rub off on you a little
Yeah,
bit
for
because you're
sure.
not going to want to be too amped up for the guy that's just sitting there chilling, right? But it rubs off on you, and I think the big thing about panic is that it's contagious, man. Like,
Yeah.
if you and I are doing something or you and I are trying to figure out this stream, number one, panicking it doesn't make you think clearly. Now, there's a panic in, like, your life situation where you're probably going to be pretty crystal clear. But in stuff like that, from me personally, I used to hit the panic button immediately. As soon as the first negative word that came out of the sentence, panic button. And it never helped, man. You panic, you don't think straight, you know what I mean? It could have been something, just plug the cord back in the wall. But because you panicked, now you're thinking, oh my God, my computer's messed up. This is the $2,500 computer. This is my contract. Like, but all it was just,
Yeah.
but you have to have somebody, and it's hard because I know that that was me. I was you're just like,
That's right.
you're not fired up, and I'm just like, no, like, I've done this, it sucks, and it's nice to have somebody in the crew that you can kind of rely on in that
Sure.
sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
So
it's-
when we call you
yeah.
panicking, and you're just like, no, it's fine. Like, especially you, the owner, we're doing this,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
you essentially, and we call him to because
It's his
nobody wants to
opinion that
report to the
matters at
boss
the
that
end of the
something isn't
day.
working, right? And I
Yeah.
use the term boss lightly, and but then you're just like, yeah, no worries. Like, if it doesn't work, just restart the computer. Like, I'll message the lady, and you're just like, how the is he so calm right now?
Yeah.
Like, you get eyeballs on you.
And I don't get that either about myself.
Yeah.
But I think it goes back to me just working jobs and having shit bosses. And just being
Yeah.
like, if I was in that scenario and I didn't know how to do something, why would I yell or get mad? Like, I just go
It's
with
not
the
helping.
flow. It's not meant to be today. It's not meant to be. Like, that's literally how, like, I'll stress that to the client. Like, I apologize. This won't happen again. That's all you can say. I apologize. This won't happen again. And we're still not giving up. We're still going to try to fix the problem. If it doesn't work,
Face it head on.
face it head on. I'll give you your money back, and you just got to own it. Be honest, and just say it. Just to yourself, you just have to say, yeah, it wasn't meant to be today. What's meant to be is meant to be. Today it just wasn't meant to be.
There was one point. There's only one time I can remember where out of all the live streams we've done in the past couple months, like There was only one time where I called you, and I remember you were actually like fired up. It was because we didn't have a password logged into the
I was livid.
the phone. But
The YouTube
reason
account?
the password
Yeah.
wasn't is because like the password, it got changed and it logged out. So
By you.
when I sent him the video the night before, it was like it would work in theory because it was logged in on his phone. But then when we got the new phone,
Calls
it
you,
was
freaks
logged
out.
So he called me and he was livid, like he said, and I was in the middle of a game. And like him being livid and like being off, like what I wasn't used to, it like totally threw me
Yeah.
off. Like I was
That's what I'm saying.
I was raging. Like I was at the BMO center. I was like, what? Like what? This like I'm like I'll figure it out. And it all ended up being figured out and like working out in the end. Like I said, like it does usually. But that was the one time like I just had to like take a minute. Like I was supposed to be doing the camera, but I put Theo on the camera and Sam was on the commentary.
Somebody do something.
And I just was like. What's like it just threw me off because I wasn't used to it at all.
I probably wouldn't have been so mad, but I remember I was golfing. Like I was
Oh.
on my way to golf.
He's about to tee off. He's got
And I was
tee
just
off.
like, you're messing with my golf game right now.
I think it was all solved by tee off though. Like it got fixed within like 10 minutes and like it was
feel like-
fine. But I'm just saying like I'm so used to him being calm and cool. The first minute he wasn't, like that panic wasn't even panic. I was motivated to get it fixed because I didn't want him to be mad.
But you were mad though because
I was mad
Because
he was
wasn't
because he was mad at you.
Yeah, I
and
was
then not
mad at-
necessarily
yeah.
at you, but just like
I get
around
it. I
you,
mean,
you know?
it was kind of bullshit, but it was just like something that happened. It was like I said, like
That's why we
the
hired you.
password
I
got
remember
changed.
this.
Figured that out.
I was a part of that
Yeah,
phone call
because
exchange.
You were, yeah.
You changed the password.
And I'm like, I don't think I changed
Dude,
the password.
I
like,
called
but-
you and I was like, Justin's livid. Like, I'm pissed. I'm supposed to be doing this.
yeah, I'm
game.
like, just okay. Well, why isn't he calling me? Why are you calling me, telling me he's mad? Why can't he call me and tell
I
me
needed
he's
to vent
mad?
to you. 'Cause
Yeah,
you're the
no.
only other one who would get it.
Yeah,
so
I know.
needed to just say.
And that's
hand
when
it
I just
off.
hold the phone and I go, okay,
Yeah,
huh,
I'll take care
Yeah.
of it.
All
all right, I'll call him.
You were the calming presence in that situation.
That's because I was thrown off. I'm like, what phone? What password? What are you guys talking about, man? That was yesterday. You know,
Yeah.
it's already today. I don't know what
Oh
happened.
man, good times.
Good times. We'll be back. The live streams are going to be back.
Yeah.
They'll be back.
Let's
Dude,
flip.
they were rolling so man. We were killing it too.
Man, they're
We had
gonna keep
so-
rolling.
We had so many.
You can't
I know,
think
I know.
negatively.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
You got to be your own 8-ball, baby.
The way I'm looking at it is, hey, it's Christmas vacation.
Yeah,
That's the way
I
you
mean,
gotta
it was.
look at it.
That's
I'm
what
on
I
month
said
7 of
yesterday.
Christmas vacation.
Yeah, I'm retired. That's the way you got to look at it.
I know.
You know, it's a little snow would be nice, but
That's what I was saying yesterday. I was like, if this was gonna happen at any time, at least it's now. Where like there's Christmas, like the teams aren't playing over the next 2 weeks really.
Yeah,
I think we've only got like
that's the spirit.
like 2 games actually can't besides this weekend, but like over Christmas.
are the
so-
games canceled this weekend for sure?
Not yet, but you
When
know.
how I look at it, I get that night back now.
Yeah, I know.
I get it though with the
It's just
money thing. I
yeah,
get the
yeah.
money
Trust
thing.
me,
It's
I
Christmas.
Like having my free
I get it.
nights. Like I'm not complaining about that. That I don't
Yeah, I
go
got
to
a
work
bunch.
tonight, but it was like
Yeah, no, but you enjoy it.
We were
We
looking
already said
forward
this.
to it. We
I
were
like
looking
going and
forward
watching
to it.
hockey,
Yeah.
man. Whether it's I got to tread lightly here. U16 AAA. I was going to say minor midget, but that's probably going to get some arms in
You
the air.
almost offended me.
I've been ruffling feathers the whole podcast, which I'm proud
almost
of.
got us upset.
And whatever it is, man. Like even when I ref, I'll do like a Pee Wee C or rec. Can't call it house anymore, but I'm gonna. Like sometimes those games are unreal. You go into it with absolutely no mindset. You're like, man. But then you get out there and you're like, wow, this is like and I think that's just the rink, man. Something about being at the rink. As soon as I go in that place,
It's calming.
I'm just like, literally nothing else is going on in my life other than what's going on in the rink at this
Dude,
particular moment.
sometimes when I'm doing that commentary and it'll be like, and I'll have like a really good 2 periods or I'm really pumped up or it's like going into a close third and the viewing numbers are up and like everyone, and like the game's been really good. I just sit there. I'm like, man, so lucky. Like
This is
I
sick.
just love hockey. Like I'm just like, man, if I can just like, this is just like sweet. So there's that, like that happens almost like quite a bit. Like every weekend when I'm like, this is sweet.
Keep
Like
that
I'll be
locked
out
up.
of here by 8. I'll be able to like watch the UFC tonight. Like this isn't getting in the way of any of my other stuff.
UFC starts at 2 in the morning.
I'll be able to watch UFC.
Like yeah.
Are you the
So,
UFC
I'm like-
fighter
I'm like,
that's at
this
the
is-
TV?
No, like there is those moments, but then there's just like other moments where you're just like, where it's like all relies on something you can't control, which is just a shitty feeling.
Who was our coach that used to say that? You can't try and control. It was a Kirk, maybe. You can't try and control the uncontrollable.
I don't know.
And it seemed like such a stupid thing to say at the time, but that's literally one thing that I've taken with me. That might be the only thing, other than my penalty minutes, which was pretty cool. That you can't try and control, because the minute you try and what are you gonna do? If you it's literally in what it says. You can't control it, so why are you trying? But
I'm a
it's
big believer
human
in that.
nature to try and control situations. But since I started living by that, man, yeah, it's every now and then taking a turn. You know, where
Well, that's the
that
thing,
hasn't
yeah.
benefited, but like it's like,
It goes back to just going with the flow. Just like if it's not working today, it's not working. You can't control it.
Yep.
It's fine. Just move on.
back to the drawing board.
That just comes with maturity, though. It's just, when you're young, when you're younger, you definitely stress over that stuff. But life's too short to be stressed over little things. As long as you know you're working hard, as long as you know you're doing the right thing, who cares whether or not something doesn't work that in particular day? Get up, put your pants on again, and just go right back at it.
you have
Get to
to,
work.
yeah.
Start mixing the concrete. Get the shovel out. Just go get back into it. That's all you can do. That's all I do.
Chase that bread.
You think every morning I really don't get me wrong, I love coming down here. Just
Yeah, but some mornings you
working.
just,
Some mornings you're just like, it's freezing. I'm going back to bed.
gotta
It's
put my
like,
paddock
bed.
going. You sweat.
Again.
I didn't get a chance to watch.
Yeah.
Look at the two of you.
Oh yeah, he's starting to look like me now.
I got the Tyler Coleman steez going.
Yeah.
Why? He said we both grew up in Fairview, man. Us boys, we didn't get Under Armour till we were 30. Had to buy it ourselves. You know,
He
we got
said-
the Walmart Under Armour.
Dude, he literally had a sweater. It was like Reebok, and it just said
No, it said
hockey.
Nike hockey.
Nike hockey. And he's like, is that like a Hockey Canada sweater? He's like, nope, just hockey.
hockey.
just the sport hockey sweater.
It
Yeah,
just-
I go, what's your setup for the games? He goes, well, I have 3 TVs, and I immediately thought of you. I was like, everyone in Fairview loves TVs.
Because we never had one.
And he always had the big TV. It wasn't like 3, but he's just like, you guys in Fairview love your TVs. Yeah, I got 3 TVs, and the way he said it, just so confident. I got 3 TVs.
Oh, he's definitely got a dope setup. It's Coleman, man. That guy has been the biggest sports fan I've known. He was talking about the NFL when we were like 9. I didn't even know what the NFL was. I'm like, football? I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, man.
Oh yeah, he's
You know,
into
buddy
it
threw
deep.
37 touchdown passes last year in college. I'm like,
Oh, he's
Jesus
into it
Christ.
deep. Every time I always say, whenever you needed to find Coleman in high school, you just go in the library because he's there with his pro line all the way out, just looking around, and he's asking. Like there'd be times I'd be in like a science class, and he'd be knocking on the door because my science teacher really knew a lot about football. I'd be like, can I talk to you for a second? He'd go like, don't you have like Coleman was the guy who was like never in class, but he was like. He'd always take like that 2-hour pee break, and he'd just be in the cafeteria with his pro line. Just, what do you think of this one?
Columbus and Nashville, what do you think?
Yeah, what do you
Dude.
think? He's like, Nash is hurt right now, so maybe I go someone else. He
That
was
is
just
him.
that guy.
He probably has a jacket for every sport, too. He probably has a coat that says just Nike football, and then he has one that says Nike soccer.
Yeah.
Like, he just went and got them custom made. That's the Tyler Coleman line.
whatever day of the week it was.
Has to be Nike, though. Right?
You know, he's still buddies with like Josh Frozell and those guys.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what he was saying yesterday. He's like, yeah, I was down in Buffalo with Frozell. Like that threw me for a
They're
loop.
both Bills fans.
That threw me for a loop. I was like, wow,
What are they calling it now? Bills Mafia.
Bills
That's what they
Mafia.
call it,
Yeah. Best story coming from the forum. What do you got?
Man,
Playing or watching?
it's got to be the one that we see on TSN all the time when we scooted over from practice that day and Chase on, I think, from the Wolverines jumped in Summerside's bench.
You were there.
Yeah.
You were at that game.
Yeah. We were sitting because I don't know if we were practicing that night, but I was an absolute rink rat when I was
I don't think I
younger.
was on the team, the Max, back that year.
No, maybe
Was
not.
that your first year?
It might have been because I was an absolute massive dog. But yeah, no, I can't imagine why my brain would think I was there if I wasn't.
Yeah.
Because we used to sit up behind that pillar because you could just come in through the Civic.
I know.
Now, I don't know if I was at one of Gary's games, like the midget AAA or whatever,
Yeah.
but I do recall being there, and it was crazy because I was thinking, this league looks insane. Like, that guy just chased the guy, but ref dropped the puck, and Forrest, I think it was, just chased Buddy to the bench, and he just dove in. He was like, no. And then the whole thing started. I remember Marshy was like swinging a stick. The goalies were tussling. Like, it was absolutely crazy. And that was back, like, you could barely videotape on your phone. It looked like it
Yeah.
was filmed with a scientific calculator. But it's like, that was definitely my craziest moment. Either that or Christmas at the Forum one year, buddy.
Whoa, what was happening at Christmas?
Oh,
at
it's
the
just
Forum?
lit, man. It's crazy.
It's like amazing there. You get lost.
With
You can't
COVID
find-
City, that place.
They're just like little jungles and jungles.
Did you ever used to go to the cheerleading competitions at the Forum when you were younger?
No, I tried to sneak in a couple times. Never could. They were tight on those things because they like look for they're like
The
they
sketch
like,
balls.
like for predators and shit like that. So
Yeah.
you could never like.
Well, we were of age, so it was good.
Yeah, I guess so. But I remember like. Because I was back on the Max when I was playing for the Max, and I was trying to go in to get my gear or something. I was trying to get in, and I couldn't because that dance competition was there.
It's cheerleading. Don't mix it up. They're going to be rattled.
Sorry about that. I'm offended. I offended myself.
What about you? Best Forum story?
Best forum story. Man, I know I got one. I should have had an answer for the question when I asked it to you.
What about when Jake Bullen got covered by the Chronicle Herald at practice that day?
What?
Do you remember that? You guys were the Killer Bees, remember?
Oh, yeah.
You, Boots, and Bully.
I got an
and-
interview on
And you
Eastlink.
guys were just smoking the league. And they came and they did a segment on Bullen because he played high school or something, and he had size 2 feet, I think it was, something like that. And they followed your guys' line around the whole practice, and all the vets were so mad. They're like, man, trying to get in the camera shots. Like,
I remember that.
you remember that?
I'd say I won't give you Forum. I'll give you Civic. It was that like triple overtime versus the Subways.
Oh, heck yeah.
Is that what triple?
Yeah.
That was my favorite moment. I remember
place was packed.
the game went to like midnight, and I remember the next day we had a practice at like 3 p.m., 4 p.m., and I just remember sitting there in practice with the rink empty, just thinking, "Wow, this place was juiced." Just for the first time ever in my career, other than maybe like the Pee Wee Quebec tournament, I felt like I was like on this earth to play hockey. I was like, we packed the Civic,
And that was just the fans were for you though. Pee Wee tournament, they were just there, right? Like,
it's true.
Yeah.
But like it made you feel like an entertainer.
Did you score the game winner or what?
Oh man, I got such a haunting story.
Why? What?
Because that's the game that
Henny got it, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. It's controversial. So if any of the subs guys are listening, they're gonna be like, he didn't even score, it didn't even go past the line, like all this shit. But I still have there's pictures. Number one, there's picture proof. If you guys don't believe that the Civic was jammed, it was because Johnny Mustache
We got some great photos.
was on the scene, baby, up over the glass. I still remember the play. It was me, you, and Zeus. We were out there in overtime, and you guys just did it was a standard breakout, and you and him went in, and you ended up getting in on the clear with two of their back checkers on you, and Zeus was kind of coming in behind, and I was coming real late.
Yeah.
Naturally, right? And you shot it, and something happened, and you and the goalie slid over into the corner, and the puck just landed out front for old duty, wide open cage. I started celebrating before I even shot, and if you remember, Wig was in the stands, I think, and because Johnny has a picture of me shooting, and who was it? Cam Poirier. He Goldberged me. He literally I just tried to put it in the middle of the net, just could have slid it on the ice. He dove across like that. And it hit him in the chest. Like in the picture, you can see Cameron, like my buddy Cam. He's up in the air. Like a couple of his buddies, like everyone's like, yeah. And then right off the next face-off, Henny scores that flubber along the ice, and it just goes through the leg and didn't go in.
I remember that overtime was just one of those. There were so many chances on both sides. Like that. Anyone could have. It was just one of those games where the goalies they were playing well, but they were playing lucky well. Like they were just getting little breaks here, little
off
breaks
the
there,
blade.
off the post, off the knob of the. And you're just how is this game not over?
And that's a huge rivalry, right? Back then, and the Max, we were like the Leafs, just couldn't get out of the first round. And
we went to the finals that year.
And we both had those streaks where we went 16-0 or whatever that year, and our two goalies, I think Tommy and their goalie were battling the shutout streak, and so Tingley played that game, I remember, and I remember Pat McKay's, you remember him?
Yeah.
He had 2 overtime breakaways.
In that overtime.
The triple overtime game. Who knows what overtime was which, right? We were going through gloves, and remember we were having to drink the half and half Gatorades or whatever. But yeah, I remember Tingley. He was our rookie tendy, and he just was lights out. And I was like, I don't know how they're getting all these breakaways because we were just high offense, right?
Yeah, we were.
Kinger up at the other team's blue line.
It was a 4-on-1.
Yeah. But yeah, no, there's been a lot of good stuff that's happened at the Forum. It's a pretty iconic place. I know you guys talked about it yesterday, but think about that, man.
First Junior A game was there. I remember walking up.
Your first Junior A game?
My first Junior A game with the Halifax Lions was there. Me and Rigas went. I think we got out of Halifax West at 3 o'clock.
Rigas.
Because Rigas had the car, and we got there early. We were there 2.5, maybe 3 hours early, and I remember that was a cool moment for me. Even though there was no one in the stand, and there was a couple people in the stands, but I just remember going into the dressing room, Troy Ryan and the crew. They painted the stalls themselves because the Halifax Lions. I don't know what room they used before, but it definitely wasn't the room we used. And
probably didn't have one.
And Troy, I remember, got in there really early. This speaks to the character of Troy. Just wanted to make sure the boys have a good junior experience. Painted the stalls orange and blue, got brand new matting, got brand new tiling in the shower. They actually sunk some money into the dressing room to make it kind of feel like a superior Junior A team. We didn't have all the money in the world, but I remember for those first couple of years, sticks, no problem, dressing room, good.
That's the dream, man.
It was just good for those first couple of years there. And I remember that was always a big deal to me going into the Forum, just knowing you had a dressing room where you could be comfortable in. You got your music. That black curtain was there, so no one could see you. You could do whatever you want. It was just a really cool first couple of years in junior. That was probably my good Forum experience, and also my first game ever with the Mooseheads with their preseason, and that was juiced. And I remember
it always was.
And I remember Cam Russell was the coach, and that was one of those games I was so nervous.
Was it against St. John?
It was against Moncton because I remember Roski was playing, and we were making fun of their bus. Those guys with their new bus pulling up here, that was Cam's
making fun of their new bus. What a ridiculous thing! They got the new
bus. Let's go in here. They think they're all that. Let's show them. I remember, and he's going over the starting lineup, and he goes, Belanger center. And I go, what? And I didn't actually say that, but in my head, I'm like, are you sure? And
I'm on the list.
and then I remember going out there for O Canada. You know, I don't know how many fit in the Forum. 5, 4.
Oh, God knows, man.
It wasn't packed. It was just a little underpacked, but still, probably the most people I've ever played in front of. And you know, you're taking your helmet off. You're on the blue line for O Canada. Then you're wheeling around. You put the
That'd have been good for me for my career, just to do that. I'd be
that's the thing. Growing up, I remember like watching Duffy do it with PEI. You know, you watch the Roskies do it. You saw Steven in St. John, and like, fuck, now this is my chance. I get to do it. And, you know, so it was just the thing to like prove to myself, oh, I could do what these guys do, because I looked up to those guys, because those guys were the first guys to go to the queue. Those guys got drafted first, second round to the
unheard
queue.
of.
You know, so honestly, like when we were max, like
the queue, you're like, what now?
well, I knew what it was, but just like that's not me. I'm not.
Especially where you were late.
Yeah.
Too right, like
Yeah.
the realistic. What is it realistically, like for a guy who signs out of Bantam, it's starting to look upwards right there, right? Whereas you come in and don't make the team till third year. Like, what'd you play, high school or minor midget in high school?
High school, major midget.
I mean, you got to do it all.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like in your head, you're not thinking Mooseheads is the next step.
No.
Christ, I wasn't even thinking that when I was on the team with you, and you were like our top scorer. I'm like, there's no way he's playing on the Mooseheads. Like, how am I not playing on the Mooseheads?
I remember like during those max practices or those major midget games, you'd see all those scouts, and then after the game, you'd see like the guys who were gonna go to the queue talk to the scouts like in the lobby.
Yeah.
And then you'd walk by them, and you just go, man, my life's over. But then I remember like a couple years before that, I'd be like, man, I'm not playing major midget. My life's over. But then eventually you just end up playing major midget, and then eventually you just end up playing Q. And then I look at this business, and then like last year I go, oh, like we're never gonna get McKinnon on. And then we do. And then there's a part of me that's going to think, so we're never going to get sit on. But then you just want to hit yourself and go, Justin, you will get sit on.
Eventually.
Because your whole life you're doubting yourself, and then these things happen. Why not for once just go, you know what? This is going to happen, and it will happen. So that's just like, it's full circle, man. It's all full circle. And one thing about that first Moosehead game with the Forum was my first ever interview with Willie Paloff. And I remember 2 years ago when the Halifax Thunderbirds came, or no, it wasn't the Thunderbirds, it was the Memorial Cup. You were up there with me, juiced press box. I still can't believe we got in there. Willie Paloff was at the far end. He had the best seat in the house. Everyone looked up to Willie.
Left him alone.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And I remember it was intermission, and everyone was going, I don't know, so he had some free time. And I remember not being nervous, but I wanted to meet him. Like he interviewed me for my first time. I never forgot that. And now what I do for a living, I interview kids for the first time for a living. So I remember I walked up to him. I shook his hand, looked him right in the eyes. I said, hey, Willie, I don't know if you remember me. My name's Justin Belanger. I played for the Mooseheads for a little bit. You interviewed me, and I run a company called High Button Sports, and now I interview kids for a living too, kind of. And he shook my hand. He goes, I remember you. You're a good player. And I remember like that. I remember like that moment was just kind of just like, man, all right, like I belong here. You know, I was like, we're up in the press box. You know, I felt uncomfortable. I know you kind of
puff red vest.
You know, like there was definitely moments where you're like, am I supposed to be here? You're sitting next to, Dubas. He's up in the press. Like there's just big dogs there. You don't feel as comfortable, especially that first time.
You know who helped us feel comfortable though was our buddy Graham Benjamin.
Graham did, yeah. Graham did.
Seriously,
Global News, he did.
He was sitting there and he was interacting with us, and
and he's
that goes
been
a long way.
He's been through the ringer, and he's just like, boys, just you're here.
Yeah.
Like if you're here, you're not here by mistake, which I still think we were, but he's like, you're here for a reason. Just ride it out. Global Graham.
He's a huge Dry fan too, right? Big sports fan, that fella.
But I remember that Mem Cup was really big for boosting our confidence. Even like the Moosehead coaches coming up, shaking my hand during that practice, and like Lavoie during the practice of pregame.
Talking to the Sportsnet people on the bench, and them just treating us like regular people. Like
Dobson coming right up to us. They wanted to get interviewed by us more than Sportsnet.
Yeah, because you're gonna ask some dumb questions.
Yeah.
That's why.
What's your
you were out there with that.
Dude, you don't know this story?
Man, that was the most. That might be the most legendary hot button
We
thing.
risked everything.
We were just down there. We didn't really know what to do, man. Because
we weren't even down there first.
No, not yet. But earlier with the Sportsnet guys, we went out. It was like a before everyone was there kind of thing. It was like a meet and greet, and you go to get signed in and stuff. So we were just out on the bench when they happened to be out there. And when you're not going to be out there with people in a confined space and not talk, especially at Sportsnet, man. I've been watching Sportsnet my whole goddamn life. Except for when we didn't have cable. So that's your fault, Johnny. But the interview, man, we were down there. It was like kind of, we could videotape from up top, but Sportsnet owned the broadcasting rights, right? But broadcasting rights to us, number one, we weren't told, or that we can remember. Number two, I don't know what that means. You know what I mean? Broadcasting rights. Then why are we here? But anyways, we were just kind of like,
We were debating with ourselves.
Yeah,
We're
like,
should
do we do
it?
this? And
Do
so we were
what?
go out on the
to
bench.
in warm up.
Warm
like,
up.
thousands of people in the stands. Mooseheads versus Rouen, first game. Like, we belong nowhere near the
Nor
bench.
were we allowed out there, turns out.
Bright red bench, laws, like legal, like
And we're out there in red puff vests.
and we're up on the big screen too. Like we at one point I look up and it's just me and dudes, the rigged red vest on. Like
You had a red vest on.
yeah, baby.
You were. That's the.
we stood
Weren't
out.
you trying to blend in?
No,
Why
but
would
here's
you
the
wear
thing.
red
No, you're
vest?
not trying to blend in that scenario. You want to, because what are people going to be? Oh, those are the guys from the red vests. They're going to remember that. It's memorable. Even if it's good or bad, it's good marketing.
And like the whole
You should get
time,
that
so
quoted.
here's the thing: we go out, we do it. You know, like it's the quickest. We're probably out there for 5 minutes, but you feel like you're out there for 30 seconds. It's the most nerve-wracking thing in the world.
But you
We're-
are electrified after.
the day before we're on, Spring Garden Road interviewing homeless people. The next day we're in Scotiabank Center interviewing
Noah
the
Dobson.
Noah Dobson, the number 1 draft pick for the New York Islanders, who end up playing in New York the next year. And so we do it. We go back behind the curtain. We're high-fiving. We're hugging. We're like,
we went down the tunnel like we shared first star.
just like,
You know,
it doesn't
Like,
matter.
we were
when-
fired up.
That's funny.
So our biggest mistake was we went and edited it in the media room. So the head media guy creeped behind our shoulders, saw the footage, tapped us, and was just like, never again.
I thought he was kidding. I
What-
turned around and I was like, haha, like, yeah, right. Like, I'm still like buzzing from it.
And what
Because
he
we had to
said-
think of the questions beforehand. You can't choke while
Yeah.
you're out there, dude. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, it's,
Wait, what do you mean? So you saw the footage and you just said
yeah, like
never
because
again, and
Sportsnet
then
had the
just-
broadcast rights. The only interview on the bench during warm up. No
That
one,
was their zone.
Like TSN couldn't do it. Global couldn't do it. Eastlink couldn't do it.
Yeah.
No one, and we just didn't know. We were so young and
Nor did we
naive.
care.
Or care. I
How
cared
did
a
you
little
get to the downtown or the part below? Anyway,
because we had
We were
media
media-
Oh,
passes.
okay, you just didn't have bench, obviously.
Yeah.
and
Small dogs.
And then I remember we were like so that was day 1 of the Memorial Cup, I think. Day 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And that tournament's a week and a bit. So the whole rest of the week we had a target on our back, especially with those red vests, and people were just looking at us.
We made our own
Really?
beds. We made our
Yeah,
own beds.
but lesson
so
learned.
But here's the thing.
Ran out of there like right away and edited at home. Or
Well,
something,
they would have found out anyways once we put it out. Like we asked him, we're like, well, can we put the footage out? And he's like, no, but just do it after the tournament. And there was another decision where I just said, fuck, no,
you
I'm
just
doing
did
it.
it?
I'm doing it.
and you just posted
It's just
it.
Yeah.
it's too good of footage. Not
it was
to
a big
do.
moment. Whether it was big for
And then-
other people
yeah.
looking at us, it was big for us.
And we had a meeting with the guy after, and I apologized and I explained our situation, and he was really cool. Like, because I wrote an article about it, because it was the most exciting. Like, when you're on a
really?
roller coaster and you're at the top and you're going down, and it was just like that feeling.
Man, like, yeah, like,
So
it really was.
So you wrote an article about like
So
the
I
whole
wrote
Whoa,
thing.
whoa, whoa. He wrote a blog.
I wrote a blog, whatever, about the experience, and me being naive again, not thinking anyone would read it. Somehow the CHL found it, sent it over to the head guy that's running the Memorial Cup. Me and dudes are shooting pucks like idiots over in the Fan Fest. I get an email from the head guy that's
I
running
had the record, though.
I get an email from the guy that's running the Memorial Cup, and he's like, "Hey, I need to talk to you about this article." And like,
Because didn't you say in it, like, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission?
Yeah, I said that. And
Oh.
that's not a good look.
Good quote, but bad.
Because
look.
I apologized to
Bad
him.
timing.
I
Yeah.
apologized to his face. I'm like, I'm sorry. But in my head, I was just like, no, we did it.
What was he saying? Was he
Well,
like?
so here's the thing.
"You'll
I go
never
back.
work in this
I go
business
back.
again"?
I go back to the
Kinda.
Scotiabank Center, and he's there. And this is the worst part about it. I go back to the. Remember, so
you were like,
before-
should I go back?
Like me and dudes were thinking. He had to convince me to man up. Like I was thinking of just like not going back. I was just like, dudes, I'm going home. I'm not facing this guy. And we were sitting there in the convention center, and it came down to, okay, the worst thing that happens is he says you can't come back. The best case scenario is we can stay, but just, don't mess up again. And it took me like an hour to sit there with dudes and like kind of like, okay, I'm just going to do it. Like hands shake. And, this is a big deal. Like I remember, so the worst part about it all is that I go back, I man up, and he talks to me in front of the whole media crew. It's in the media room at lunch break. So Sportsnet's there, like Colby Armstrong, Caroline Cameron,
yeah.
like Tara Salone, like, Mavs. Like Mavs
Yeah.
back then before I didn't know him. Like, just,
Kenzu.
like there's a lot of media crew there that you don't know that you're trying to gain these people's respect.
Yeah.
And it's lunchtime. And he pulls me over to a side and he starts talking to me in front of everyone. And I'm just like, do you want to just kind of go over here and talk? And he goes, no, we discuss now. And it starts out a slow demeanor. We're talking to each other. I'm explaining our situation. And, a couple minutes go by, the voices go up. He goes, you disrespected me. Because I kind of did disrespect him. I apologized for him.
You did, though.
I did, and I apologized. But as soon as I acknowledged I was in the wrong, I stopped playing in that gray area and was just straight with them, black and white. And I go, look, this is my company, High Button Sports. We have to play the role of the underdog here at the Memorial Cup. So for us to go onto the bench, do that interview, that is gigantic for us. We're not Sportsnet. We don't have this privilege. Did we do it? Yes. Was it a mistake? Yes. I apologize for it 100%. But you need to understand that the fact that our fans are seeing us here at the Memorial Cup, they see us as an underdog trying to get the best content possible. That's the truth. We didn't mean to hurt anyone's feelings. We didn't mean to break any laws. We didn't mean to step on anyone's toes. That's the truth. In order to gain momentum in business, you have to take risks. I took a risk. It paid off, but now I understand I made the wrong decision. And as soon as I said that to him, his voice went back down low, and he goes, Justin, I understand.
That's all he
That's
said.
all he
That's
wanted.
it.
That's all he wanted.
That's all he wanted. And he goes, Justin, we wish you the best here. You're more than welcome to stay. Just make sure it doesn't happen again. And he goes at the end, I remember he's like, if you have any questions or anything, just don't hesitate to reach out about the rules or anything like
We
that.
went over with him for beers
So
after.
full story.
did?
So
To the
full
tail
story.
house.
So after the
I don't know for
after Rouen,
Yeah.
after Rouen won, the after party was at the ale house, and we're there. We one,
Our
two,
boy
three,
Heinem.
we're Heinem's there, Dobson's there. They got the cup in there.
Mooseheads end up showing up.
And then this gentleman,
Yeah.
this gentleman was there, and I was at the washroom, or dudes was at the washroom. Someone was
It was
taking a
me.
piss, and he looks to his left, and it's him. And then after we all sat down, me, dudes, and him, and we had a beer, and we chalked it up, and we gave him a big hug. Like we left. It was probably like 4 a.m, and he had to go back to Quebec, wherever, and we just went back home, and we gave him a hug, and we're like, hey man, we'll see you next time down the road. So with the Memorial Cup coming here to St. John, New Brunswick, I hope we get to see this guy again and just what's been new.
I will buy you another beer if you're
Yeah.
listening, for sure.
But anyways, that was just a really big defining moment for the company
good
back
story.
then. Yeah,
Do you remember the other Mem Cup story when my jewel fell down the grate?
I'm not even talking about that. Your jewel and your keys,
Yeah. Car keys.
They
How we
fell
got
down a grate.
because we were sitting up top.
dudes. Like,
I'm not going to talk about but the keys is crazy. How do you not tell the story when you bring it up? I'll be very quick for you. It's just sitting in they were in my vest that we had on the back of the chair, and it's all grates underneath. And I pulled my vest up, and my keys went flying, and they just went down into the grate.
you got your other beard.
My other beard.
No, that side, like more up this way. There you got it. It's go like that. There you got it. It
Your
was
other beard.
It was this thing. Like this thing was just stuck to your beard.
Yeah, it's bad
Sorry,
formation.
sorry, keep going.
Anyways, keys went down into the
Sweater.
grate, so obviously I'm panicking hard because that's how we got there. That was that was basically our house. Was the cruise.
I'm not bussing home.
So I had to go down and get the rink engineer, Jeff. She's like, go down and get the engineer. I'm like, how do I know what an engineer looks like? Does it say?
Rink's packed.
It's the Mem Cup.
It's the Mem Cup.
It's like,
Juiced.
dude,
So the
TSN.
grates, I'm trying to remember,
So
know where
up in the
this-
press box,
Okay.
right behind the nets, there's like a little bit of red carpet that you walk across, and in behind it is just like those metal grates. So I'd already lost my jewel down there. That's another story. Then my keys go down. So now we can't get out of here. So I don't even know how long it took, but they ended up going up into the ductwork.
I can't beliue you found a guy. I
Me
couldn't
either. I
believe
just
you.
every person that walked by me that had something to do with Scotiabank, I don't care if it said Scotiabank financial advisor. I was like, hey, I was like, hey, do you know, is the rink engineer here? And some people were like, what? I'm like, I know, right? But anyways, the guy went up into the ductwork. He comes down. He goes, is this them? And I'm like, oh my God, let's go.
That's like
Nothing
the
could possibly go wrong anymore, you
That's the
know?
worst nightmare type
Oh, it was
stuff.
the worst.
Go
And that's
get-
the thing. Like that's happening. So like this guy's up there like bending down, and you got like Bobby Smith walking behind us. So it's like, oh my god.
Justin, were you rattled when that?
Oh, he
I
was
rattled.
so
I was livid.
rattled.
I was livid. Because the one thing I didn't want to do was stand out.
Yeah.
And just like
But you wore the red jacket.
I know.
Yeah, but
I
it's
was-
one thing to stand out visual, and it's another thing to stand out and making a scene, you know?
Anyways, man.
But it was for good reasons. My goddamn keys.
How much time are we at right now?
An hour and 8 minutes.
Wow.
Gentlemen, I
See
want
ya.
to thank both of you guys for coming. This honestly has uplifted my spirits. I don't know about you guys. Jeff, I know you might,
sure.
we're going to do our best. I got nothing for you, but we're going to do our best to try to spin this and get back. Let's try to enjoy the holidays, fellas. All right, let's try to have some fun. Come back in 2022 with high spirits, and we're going to be rolling into the Ice Jam. I got a good feeling about it.
Rolling into everything.
We're going to be happening. Think about it, boys. Like, think about, 2 years ago. well, I guess maybe not Jeff, but Dudes, but a year ago, Jeff. Just think about the issues we had then and how those issues are just kind of laughable now.
They're not even issues.
They're not even issues. We're struggling to get 2 games as a contract for $300. It's now we're rolling, boys. We got 27 games in our back pocket.
Keep rolling.
That's nothing. Let's keep rolling. Let's keep getting these podcast guests. Let's keep thinking positively, and let's just keep growing this company. All right,
Yep.
Jeff.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
Remember, 30 days, flatten the curve.
All right, everyone listening, thank you very much for tuning in. You guys are the best. Once again, thank you very much to our sponsors, Generous United, CryptoVantage, and we also have some new sponsors on the way in the new year. Stay tuned for that. Stay tuned. Have fun. Work hard, too. Or I'm going to put this out tomorrow, Wednesday. We're out. Peace.
See you later.